So on the slide right now, you see the agenda. So we well into the item that Samir and I are taking, which is the introductions and a description of the program. We will go through these topics, which is also in your invitation. We will aim to start at or after the times shown here, and all the times are shown in Central European time. As you know, we're projecting live from Rome. We'll take a break at some point and then continue. So we'll do 3 presentations before and 3 presentations after the break, and then end with an open discussion. So what I'm going to do now is to just tell you a little bit about the program. You've probably heard this multiple times before. So this is the background to the Applied Pharmacometrics Training Program. The 2 pictures that you see on the slide, the beautiful map of Africa and then the table on the right, comes from a publication that is currently under consideration with CPT PSP that describes the experience over the past 3 years. What we've seen and what we know is that Africa has and continues to make significant contributions to the global pool of pharmacometricians. There's some really eminent pharmacometricians that have either stayed within the continent or have left, but continue to contribute to the science. So there's been quite a few calls for African pharmacometricians to increase their contributions to global health data analysis inside the continent. There's a concern that data leaves the continent too often to be analyzed outside. And so I had conversations with a lot of people, and eventually a conversation with my colleagues from Setara, Rick is in the room, led to the establishment of this particular program. You also see 4 icons, which might have, at least 2 will stay there all the time, but the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and the University of Cape Town have been strong collaborators right from the very beginning. So this program, all participants get a certificate from the University of Cape Town for their participation. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is where all of this started, and they also helped us set up Pharmacometrics Africa. So what the goal of this particular program is, Rick and I came up with the idea that we will call this, that we want to teach regulatory quality pharmacometric analyses. And by that, we really meant that we would like for folks to learn how to do an analysis that is traceable, trackable, and could support a decision. And we were thinking about what is the place where you would have a decision that you really want to be strong about, and that is probably in a label. So that's why we call it regulatory quality analysis. But you can take it as a biomarker for a publication, etc. What happens to the people? Well, people from the program are eligible to join African Centers. So we've run it 3 times. The table on the right shows the 3 cohorts. We feel really great about it. We've got a really good gender balance. Some might argue that we probably need more women in the program. But this type of analyses, these quantitative analyses, is traditionally not an area that has attracted women, but we've seen that has changed, and it's glad that we can have that reflected here. The applications, the plot that you see on the left shows the way in which we've changed the program over the year. We'll talk a little bit more about that as we go through, but it shows the areas on the continent that have been targeted for applicants as well as people that have actually come into the program. And as we've said before, the goal is to train at the doctoral level. So these are individuals that are either currently busy with a PhD or have just completed, and we've also targeted clinicians for that. I'm going to stop on this slide. Let me hand it over to Samir to tell us a little bit more about the program.
Thanks, Colin. So as Colin mentioned, it's the 3rd iteration of our program. So it has evolved and changed over the year. So current program, how it's structured, it's like postgraduate type, where it prepares you to learn pharmacometrics applied to real-life problem, constrained to, say, timeline, few months of work. So we teach you how you can do the analysis, document it, and prepare a report to your sponsor. So initially, we have a pre-selection phase where we give the fellow a real data set, blinded, masked, and we see how ready they are for the program. So we ask them about PK, PK/PD, exploratory analysis, no big model required, just to make sure they are ready to follow with our program and modules. And in parallel, once they are selected, we closely collaborate with our pharma sponsor, where we call for projects. We had, for this year, we had 6 different projects with pharma partners. So each fellow or pair of fellows will have a project with a pharma sponsor on a real data set. And the program itself runs from January to June. July is the closing period. Of course, as you will see, some of the fellow continue working on the publication and project. And recently, for example, we had a publication from last year, cohort. Innocent published his machine learning paper, but overall that's the structure of the program. Next.